Alright guys, welcome back to Alliance Hornet 15 action. I am Elise Randolph, joined by Yinten. We've got match number 4 today for you between Spectre Fleet in red and Blades of Grass in blue. And Blades of Grass did not disappoint at all. Jinten, why don't you break down for me what they brought?
Blades of Grass brought something I think we can all appreciate in our heart of hearts. They have brought what I can only describe as a truckload of DPS. Everything in there seems to be a whole tanked, blaster fit, Galante rush. I goddamn love it. And on the other hand, what have Spectre Fleet brought?
Spectre Fleet have brought a kiting drone team similar to what we had before. They've got a little bit of control, more than what Goons had, but less than what End of Life had. So we'll see how that works out for them. They came in at 50. Blades of Grass came in at 0. I'd just like to point out the attack bar on the Blades of Grass side is literally so big it is off the screen. It is broken by how large it is. And the match is starting right now, so we'll see exactly what happens here.
Yeah, the real tale of this match is any of Blade of Grass Daredevils and Thoraxes can get on top of those Vexes, start locking down key parts of Spectre Fleet's comp, and then apply that girthy attack bar to them. And right now, Spectre Fleet are doing a great job of off that tackle.
The Blades of Grass team rushed so hard into the Spectre Fleet team that the Daredevils had tackled something, or at least gotten close to tackle something, before Spectre could get all of their drones out. Unfortunately, these hull tank Thorax hulls drop pretty quick inside of all these drones, and a Thorax and Daredevil are already down. Blades of Grass have tackled a Vexor Navy issue, and we'll see when this damage starts to get applied.
Yeah, you can see there at least one web has landed on Spectre Fleet 2, in fact, now, as they seem to be tackling Confessors and Vexers. Oh, it looks like Spectre Fleet has run close to the edge there of the arena, not wanting to pull a PL and boundary violate here as they get tackled down. This might give Blades of Grass a chance to at least apply some of that attack bar to Spectre Fleet, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. You can see just how much of Spectre Fleet's damage is being applied versus how much of Grass's is.
Yeah, Blades of Grass have split up their tackle quite a bit in order to get as much tackle as they can on this kiting team. Unfortunately, that comes at the expense of a little bit of their applied damage. Just to note out, some of these ships are actually sitting at mobile jump units right now. And, my goodness, we might see some MJD plays if any of this goes out, but crucially, all the ships will be able to follow through the jump unit and see how that works out. Maybe we'll see some people bump while trying to use the jump unit. It's something we don't see very often used, because if you get bumped or move at all, you could propel yourself right out of the arena and an application to Pandemic Legion. As this is going down, as we're kind of pontificating, Spectre Fleet have lost a Vexor Navy issue, but have traded a Brutix, 2 Thoraxes, and 2 Daredevils. So you gotta feel Spectre Fleet are feeling really confident right about now, as they're about to kill another Brutix belonging to Blades of Grass.
Yeah, you can see just how fast these ships from Spectre Fleet do evaporate once Blades get on top of them, but their support just wasn't able to make the plays they needed to at the start of this match and tackle stuff down. And, you know, one of the key advantages of this kind of Galante rush pump is that if it lands on top of an enemy logistics, it will just evaporate them, and without that, you know, the comp can kind of fall apart, because you've had to put so many points into bringing a logistics. But in this case, Spectre Fleet just said, alright, you want to go no logistics? We'll go no logistics as well. And they brought the superior comp to do that.
Yeah, Spectre Fleet have brought a lot of very durable tackle here. And, you know, they're able to pin stuff down. These Confessors are actually quite beefy. We haven't seen many Confessors because of the point shuffle this round, or this Alliance tournament. So Confessors and Tech 3 Destroyers are kind of very expensive to bring. But you know what, they've been doing quite a lot of work here. Spectre Fleet pilots are doing very well, spreading out. They actually are clumped around the micro jump units right now. It looks like everyone is clumped around micro jump units, more or less, or trying to get there. The Blades of Grass Vindicators are actually using the buddy system right now and are sitting right next to one another. All the ships are damped, and it doesn't look like these Vindicators are moving very fast. I don't know really who they're going for.
It looks like they have a web on the EOS of Starlife, so I imagine they'll start going towards that. This Navy Brutix is he's slowly dying. He's got some rep drones on him, but he's not going to last, and there he goes. I don't think Blades of Grass can do this, but the real question is how much can they take down with them? You know, if those Vindicators are able to land on top of some things, they might be able to at least make Spectre Fleet sweat for it.
Alrighty, yeah. So Blades of Grass about to lose another Navy Brutix here. Although it is getting repped from rep bots, these Vindicators are using at least a few heavy rep bots here.
Yep. So what do you think about these kind of no logistics comps? We've seen a couple of them now being brought by relatively mid-level teams. You know, not people who are traditionally clowny teams. Do you think we're going to see more of these as the tournament goes on?
I think with these drone comps, we will see a lot of them just because the costs of the logistics ship is quite a bit. And, you know, with these kiting teams, your goal is to just starburst around and hope you don't get caught. Even if you do have a logistics, you know, not doing all that much. And Blades of Grass here showing that different values aren't really doing too much for them. That is their alliance motto. But let's see, Vindicators still kind of going together. This Navy Brutix, you know, all these Galente hulls are hull tanks, which, you know, is something that Spectre Fleet was famous for doing in the last 2 alliance tournaments. In fact, if you didn't show me the names, I would say that this Vindicator team is something that Spectre Fleet would bring, because they have brought something similar before. So perhaps, you know, that knowledge has given them a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, Blades of Grass perhaps trying to beat Spectre Fleet at their own game here, which would an amazing thing to see. I'm almost disappointed Spectre Fleet didn't bring their traditional comp from last year.
I mean, they're probably saving it, you know, for week 2, week 3 matches, because, you know, that's when you have to bring out the good. Let's see, Spectre Fleet still... You know what really makes me sad? It's going to make me cry at the end of the day. We never got to see this Blades of Grass attack bar being fully utilized. It was so far askew on my screen, it broke all the way over to another monitor, and I just wanted to see that red bar just do some dominating. But as we see far too often with these Galente rush setups, it's very hard to apply the damage. Props to Spectre Fleet target calling for nuking these Daredevils really quickly. You know, I was giving them a little bit of flack for not getting their drones out very fast. You know, Blades of Grass seem to respond much faster. But Spectre Fleet, although it took them a couple seconds to get started, they made all of the right decisions, killing the Daredevils, Thoraxes, Brutixes, and Navy Brutixes in that order, because, you know, those are the easiest to chew through, and they represent a lot of damage.
Yeah, now we've just got to wait for the incredibly light. You can see just how much EHP of the Blades of Grass team is rolled up in these Vindicators. You know, they've got hull tanks, and on top of that, they've both got rep drones, so they're going to be able to keep each other alive, just sitting and desperately trying to keep themselves on the field. And I reckon they might even have a good chance of lasting until the end of this match, given those hull tanks. But
crucially, as we see with these Vindicator hulls, as Reload mentioned, and actually we haven't seen any today, I believe, smart bombs are not there. I mean, these smart bombs are really great for dealing with these drone comms. You figure someone would eventually start bringing smart bombs to clear them away, or maybe even banning a crucial ship like an Ishtar or a Vexor Navy issue. But not here. Blades of Grass banned a Gila and an Armageddon. Actually, Armageddon has one of the highest win rates of any ship in the feeder round, so that's a very good ban. And Spectre Fleet banned Guardian Oneros, which is a very popular ban and very, very good for what they wanted to bring here.
Now, if Blades of Grass were locked in for this composition, you can see why they would make though, because obviously the healer is going to be for the shield version of this comp that Spectre Fleet has bought, typically with logistics, and that's going to be so good at kiting away from these Vindicators. And the Armageddon is going to do much the same, except all it's going to take is one good nuke, and these Vindicators' guns are going to be turned off. So they make sense, absolutely. At least.
As we see one Vindicator go down, we've got 1:30 left in the match. Spectre Fleet are just cleaning up. I will give you guys an update for what's happening in the other system. I'm sorry we can't bring you both matches simultaneously, but we can only be in one place at one time. Quantum physics be damned. Pandemic Legion opened up the match with a very commanding win versus Good at This Game, who brought 3 Drake hulls and 2 Bargus. That actually happened. Meanwhile, Clown Car edged out Samurai Sold Out, and Mercenary Coalition just barely beat the Bastard Cartel. That match was very, very close. Edge of your seat both ways. Mercenary Coalition had brought a Rattlesnake, Claymore Scimitar, 2 Gila, 2 Hound setup, and Bastards brought literally the same thing except with Vexers instead of Caracols. So that went very, very close. Mercenary Coalition lived with 2 cruiser hulls left. And, you know, it was pretty close. But Mercenary Coalition will be seeing them in the winner's bracket tomorrow, as well as all the other teams that won in JB007. You will see them tomorrow on this Alliance Tournament event broadcast. We see some good fights in local right about now.
Yeah, that Vindicator of CPU 939, the last to go down. It seems that their girth simply wasn't enough. So let's take it back to the studio and let them talk about this a bit more.
This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
Can I ask you kind of a weird question?
Do you want to play some spaceships with me?
Hey guys, welcome back. Blades of Grass, they're reviving the hull-tanked all-in team against Spectre Fleet, which is a bit of a counter to what Spectre Fleet brought last year. Spectre Fleet obviously bringing a more established comp to take them down with. What do you guys think about that match?
I think the Vindicator all-in hull-tanked setup is, as Elise would call it, a bit clowny. And we did see Blades of Grass bringing that comp in the feeders. And I think they kind of lucked in a little bit by warping in at 0 on top of a Tinker comp, also at 0. And I believe that was the shortest match of our entire feeders broadcast, about 1 minute and 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, you will notice, of course, everyone, that that is not, in fact, Reload and Suetonia anymore. It is Ithaca Hawk and my man Brett Thomas here, joining us for the second half of the first half, the second quarter of the day. If you will, they'll be joining us until the break period coming up in a couple matches' time. Now, we did see then in that match by Spectre Fleet a beautiful starburst, which we were hoping to see from the Goons, something that's very important in drone comps. Hopefully that's coming up on screen in the few coming moments. We see the drone team here in red split apart absolutely beautifully at the beginning, forcing Blades of Grass to have to chase in tons of different directions, their time between target increasing by a huge factor, really slowing the speed at which they can chase through the opposing team. The Blades of Grass team obviously requiring their team to all be on a single target. If they had to break through reps, no logistics in the Spectre Fleet Alliance team as it happens, but really beautiful piloting and decision making here by Spectre Fleet Alliance. Brett, what were your thoughts on this match?
I thought Spectre Fleet did very well, as we saw with the replay and the way they starburst. They spread a lot of their ships out. What they did is they focused quite a lot of the kind of DPS to EHP ships down first. They got all the drones on the right target and kind of eliminated everything and kept out of range. So towards the end, when everything was down to, I think, maybe the 2 Vindicators and a lot more of the battlecruisers left, that at that point, if one ship was captured, it was such a large gap between the next ship that they were able to whittle down all these whole tank ships and manage to film. I think Spectre Fleet did very well, and they went into a very good matchup there.
Well, coming up for our 5th match of the day at 20 minutes past the hour, we have Vidra Reloaded going up against Band of Backstabbers. Band of Backstabbers getting in with, I believe it's one of the joint lowest bids in the silent auction. Vidra Reloaded coming in off of an excellent performance in AT14. Now, Vidra is predominantly Russian group, many coming from the old Afterlife team, which are an absolute force in past tournaments. Band of Backstabbers, however, I believe is a rent Intercorp under the banner of CO2. I believe they're headed up by the judge, who is a current CSM member, and in fact on the last CSM as well. I think this might be one of those matches where we have a clear favourite, but Ithaca, what are your thoughts on these two teams?
I think the Vidra pedigree is just a lot higher than the Band of Backstabbers team. Vidra have got a couple of really good pilots that flew in, for example, the EVNT championships as well. They know what they're doing. They've got great theory crafters. They've got great execution. I don't think they should struggle at all with this. I think Band of Backstabbers, the first round can sometimes have unlucky draws, and they were one of the teams that unlucked out, essentially.
So, Brett, one of the questions I always like to ask is, when you are a team like Band of Backstabbers, going up against a team like a Vidra Reloaded, or, you know, a Hydra or a PL, you know, when you're going up against such experience, such skill, when you can kind of assume that the other team is stronger than you, and, you know, you play 100 games, you wouldn't win more than 50 of them. What is your tactics where it's just a best of one, you just need to get a quick win, an easy, well, not an easy win, but a way to just cheat those odds a little bit and get the win in? Do you prefer heavy cheese? Do you prefer just practicing one comp for your entire training session and just relying on just knowing it really well? What are your thoughts?
Well, a lot of the larger teams, a lot of the more successful teams do a lot of practice in a lot of other comps. They do, say, different comps in different matches, and they spread themselves wide and have that skill level that every single thing they can bring is a good matchup and is a good comp. It also means that they have a lot of skill against everything. So what you have to do is you have to find what your niche is. Like some people did last year with full hull tanked battlecruiser comps. Find your niche, find something that you do very well and be the best at that. Come against, no matter what the comp is, find how it wins and then excel at that, because you'll come against some the teams like Vidra who will go, oh, we kind of know this matchup, we think we can do well, but you know this matchup hands down, blindfolded. That's how you win. That's how you excel against these good teams, is bring what you know. Fortunately, that doesn't get you very far in the tournament, because a lot of teams can research what you're doing, find that out and go, oh, it's easy how we countered this with this. But for getting these early wins against the really tough teams, I think it's one of the best things you can do.
Yeah, fantastic advice there. Kind of similar to when you're being a solo pilot in EVE. You can fly kind of the off-meta but still valid ships. I believe Kill 2, you know, years and years ago when he was a solo pilot, he would prefer to bring ships that nobody really flied because people would underestimate them. People think, oh, I can take that. I don't need to think too hard about this. But then he would blow them out of the water because he'd practiced. He really thought about what he was bringing. So really fantastic advice there. So let's do a little bit of predictions. So I don't think this is going to take very long. Personally, as much as I love Band of Backstabbers for that poking joke at release and EVE politics, I do think Vidra are going to win here. Ithaca, Brett?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Vidra are going to take this one comfortably. I'm always up for an underdog to win, but I don't see it unless they bring some sort of extra clowny comp and really just pull out all the stops here.
Now, to harken back to an earlier match today, I do believe we have the kill mail ready of the patron saint of bomber pilots, Rin Miller, our man. Being told that no, we don't anymore, is in fact gone away. Never mind. Forget about Rin Miller. He only comes around if you are very, very lucky. Oh, no, wait. It is ready again. I'm having flashbacks to the Mar Championship by getting trolled by CCP. Okay, let's bring Rin Miller up right now. So we can see the fit here of his ship. We've got some torp launchers, bomb launcher, everything you'd expect. But, you know, just a damage control, 200mm plates, you know, even damage rigs. Yet he was managing to tank the whole team in just the tightest sliver of structure. I was hoping, damage taken, 17,153 hit points. To give that some kind of reference, you guys, the EHP of a bomber fits the AT, if you've got a ton of links on it, 5,000. Maybe 5,000 if you're lucky. Like this one, especially without tank mods, it can't do much more of that. So this thing died, you know, probably 4 or 5 times over before finally going down. Beautiful piloting here by our patron saint, Rin Miller. He's definitely already my favorite pilot of the tournament. It's going to take a lot to top that performance. Really looking forward to see people try, however, as we move on. That said, it is time to go into our next match. It's going to be Vidra Reloaded against Band of Backstabbers. That is match number 5 for today in AT15. First day here at EVNT. We'll hand it over to the casters.